Welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing, the most trusted podcast dedicated to the new business of location. Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing. This is episode number 128. We're recording this live Friday afternoon, May 3rd, 2013. My name is Rob Woodbridge from Untether.tv, located in balmy, sunny, hot Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, home of the 1-0 Ottawa Senators over the Montreal Canadiens. That might change by the time you're listening to this, but right now they are leading. I am joined, as always,
Asif Khan from the Location-Based Marketing Association, home of the 0-1 Toronto Maple Leafs. Honestly, buddy, I'm not optimistic. It's gonna improve.
That was an ugly game. That was an ugly game.
Anyhow,
yes, well,
we'll just leave it at that.
We'll see. Our tunes could be changed at the end of this when you listen to this on Monday morning, because by then it'll be 3 games in for the Senators, and we'll see what happens. And so.
But hey, it is like 80 degrees here in Toronto and sunny, so we'll take that any day. And we like that. So anyhow,
welcome, buddy. Number 128. We are going to cruise through this. We have a ton of stories, 7 stories. We've got our special guest today is Ben Broca, who is the founder of an app called Now. We featured it a couple of weeks ago as our app feature. We actually got Ben to come on and talk about what he's doing there. And of course, we've got a little bit of news from the LBMA and our app feature of the week. We don't have a resource this week. We got something else that we want to throw at you, a little lighter story. Before we do that, let's talk about what's going on with the Location-Based Marketing Association.
Well, yeah, there's a bunch of things. There's never a shortage of events. We're coming into that crunch towards the end of the season here as we go into summer. But this week coming up, May 8th to 10th, is the Retail Technology Exchange in Boca Raton. So that should be exciting if you're a retailer or you're a tech company trying to sell to retailers. And then on the 23rd of May is the GeoWeb Summit in New York. So this is number 6 for them. Always great events. I know Maponics and some of our other members are involved in that. I'll be down there, so come see me there. And then May 28th, the LBMA's London chapter in the UK is running an event on the future of High Street. So that's a good one if you happen to be over there. And then the same week, on the 29th, I'll be over in Madrid for the Solomo Summit. And if you're over in Spain or you want to be in Spain, come see me there. And that's what we got for May, folks. June is like even more crazy. But
Spain.
Anyhow,
that's all I got to say. Spain. Yeah.
Although it feels like Spain in Toronto right now.
It's just not. It's Toronto, not Spain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. True.
Well, it sounds like you've been busy and you've had a week at home to catch up, which is great. So we've got some good stories, even some Canadian content, which is what I love to see, is that Canada is actually doing some stuff in this space. We just don't like to brag about it. So we're going to help these companies actually brag about it. What do you say we jump into this and we cruise through this, our first story, which is actually the app of the week, or what's fascinating us. This is yours. This is something called Twisper.
Yeah,
cool.
Twisper. So relatively new app. It's been out for a few months now. This is an app that's focused on the travel space. So it's a location-based app that we were talking about it earlier. For me, it's a combination of kind of the best aspects of what used to be Dwolla that Facebook now owns. That was kind of like a social travel, book log, if you will, combining that with the sort of social links and limited sharing of your social networks that you had in Glimpse. And so if you take all those things and kind of put them together, what you get is Twisper. And I like this. This is all about for people who travel a lot, and I travel a lot, as you know. This kind of thing becomes interesting because we were talking the other day about Foursquare, and we're going to talk later about Foursquare again. But for me, I mean, I still check in. I still use Foursquare, but I could care less about badges. I could care less about deals and all that kind of stuff. What I care about, and the value I get out of Foursquare for somebody who travels as much as I do, is all those places that I go to in terms of, the restaurant that I had dinner at last night, or the bar that I hung out with people after the conference, when I'm in a city I don't know, the ability to go back afterwards, months later, and look at it and go, what was the name of that place that we were at? The next time I show up there, or what have you. It's that history that becomes really interesting. And Twisper really does that in a great way, and it helps you kind of log your travel, helps you discover the city as a tourist, hotels, restaurants, whatever it is. It's an iPhone app, but you can bookmark your favorites. You can share stuff with your social network. I really like this thing.
And it's, I often use something like Moves, for example, this Moves app that I'm fascinated with still.
Yeah.
But I use this as a way to remember where I've been, and that's what I've always used Foursquare as well. So this Twisper might be that thing. But again, this is going to be a challenge for Twisper to get to mass consumption, to get enough people using it, to enough density, so that this is of value. Because this is an area that is being contested by Yelp, by Facebook, by Foursquare to an extent, and about 1 million other little companies. But I like this simplicity of this. It is exactly what we were talking about. That's why I loved Dwolla, I'm going to give this a try. But the problem is, I'm up in Canada. The problem is I'm in Ottawa, and Ottawa doesn't have the density where this is actually of value, where enough people are using it. Everybody using Twist up here in Ottawa, everybody using Tempo up here in Ottawa, is because I've talked to them and watched them download it. Right? That's the community that we live in. So there's not a lot of density, but I like this. If you're interested, go check it out at twisper.com, exactly like it sounds. TWISPER.com. You can download it. It's iOS only, I believe. Yes.
Yes.
So go and take a look at it. And if you are Twisper, we'd love to have you on the show. So if you're listening to this and you happen to be the founders, reach out. Rob at untether.tv or Seif@thelbma.com, and let's get you on for a long-form interview to talk about what you're doing. Very cool.
And just before we move into the first kind of real story, just on that point that you just made, if you listen to this, if we're talking about your company on this, and you want to come on and
beat us up,
beat us up, defend your product, your solution, whatever it is, feel free to reach out to us. And this week, after last week's show, I got feedback from Fizz, from Punch In, and we love that, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, so I'm going to be chatting with the Fizz guys next week. We'll get them on the show. We'll give them a chance to kind of talk in their own words about the value of their solution, as opposed to what just Rob and I think about it. But anyhow, so if we say something that you don't agree with, please, by all means, let us know why we're wrong.
Yes, don't do it in silence, and don't let us just. We're trying to elicit a conversation with you guys, so please do that. We'll have you on the show. You know what?
The one thing you can't say about Rob and I is that we just tell it like we see it. Okay, so you know what? We're not here to be rah-rah about everything what we're talking about and just cater to LBMA members and all that kind of stuff. We're here to talk about what we see in the industry and what we think is valid and interesting.
And you know what? That is exactly what's going to move this industry forward. That's exactly it. So in this kind of dialogue we want to have. So for those of you who we have offended, or those who we have praised, let's have that conversation a little bit deeper, and come on and defend it. The only thing we don't want you to do is, when you see us at a live event, to punch us. That's it.
No physical
stuff. Hugs are okay, but no punching. Okay.
Yeah, we like hugs.
No punching. All right, let's throw the punches now, Seif, shall we? Let's dive into this and see what comes out of this. How many people we can anger at the end of this episode?
There you go.
All right. We've got 7 stories, and our first talks about this consortium called ISIS, payment consortium, and they're moving into the loyalty program. And I think we both love this because of where they're doing loyalty.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much conversation going on about mobile payments and NFC and all this kind of stuff, and literally there's dozens and dozens of platforms, and probably 2 or 3 new ones every week. And the ISIS guys are guys that I see at almost every conference. This is the carrier consortium play in the U.S. If you're not familiar, and the first time you're hearing us talk about ISIS. So guys, Casey Archer, Ed Busby, Jim Stapleton, all those guys that I see everywhere, guys, we love this one. Okay, so this is they've announced a sort of an expansion of a test that they were doing in Austin and Salt Lake City around connecting the ISIS mobile payment platform to a loyalty program around vending machines. So if you think about mobile payments and you think about that proximity-based tap and pay or NFC-enabled payments, one of the best places and the easiest places to do that is on a vending machine. And so one of the early customers here has been USAT, which is USA Technologies. They've got like 100,000 of these vending machines out there that are enabled with the ISIS technology. And it's that simple. You just tap your phone, you pay for your pop or your whatever it is that you're buying from that vending machine. And what they layered on top of this now is a loyalty program. So it's all about driving repeat transactions, rewarding people for buying and transacting with those vending machines using the ISIS program. And we're seeing, you and I talk a lot on this show about that value of card-linked offers and loyalty programs and all that kind of stuff. So for me, this is a really good application. Vending machines are a perfect use case for NFC and payments in that context. And adding loyalty to it just makes sense. And this is, one of the first loyalty programs I've seen around this. Now, Coke, who we do a lot of work with, obviously has iRewards, which is their own loyalty program around Coca-Cola product. And the freestyle machines that Coke has increasingly out in the marketplace are NFC enabled. What we haven't seen yet is great linkages between iRewards and the vending machine that Coke has. So for me, this kind of jumps ahead of that. It's ubiquitous and it works. It's not limited to Coke machines. It works on any vending machine, quite frankly. And I like what ISIS is doing here. So full applause to this one.
All right. So talking about spending money, sending transactions, payments. Our second story. When you talk about Series C, you're talking about a serious company that has gone through the ropes and has raised a C to Series A, Series B, and now they're on to Series C. And this is what Dwolla did. They raised $16.5 million. First, what is Dwolla for those people who don't know, and why is this so significant, Asif?
Let's call it a payments network or a payments platform. So this is not about NFC or proximity-based payment. This is just enabling people to transfer money and move money, across a network without, crazy fees, credit card transaction fees and all that kind of stuff. So they've been at it for a while. These guys, Ben Milne, who's the CEO of this company, phenomenal guy, great speaker. Seen him chat a couple of times. So this is Series C, as you said. This is a maturing company in the space. Andreessen Horowitz, Village Ventures, Thrive Capital, Union Square Ventures, all part of this group here that's involved with this. These guys, if I recall, I think they're based in Omaha, Nebraska, or something like that, of all places. So they're they're not in in your usual San Francisco startup or New York. I mean, I think they have an office in New York, but anyhow, it's an interesting venture. And what I like about it too is that when you use Dwolla in terms of moving money, you have that option of who actually pays the fee. Is it the recipient of the money, you as the sender of the money? So you can actually control all of that, and it's flat. It's 25 cents, right? It's not a percentage, or any of that kind of stuff. It's just a flat 25 cents.
I like 25 cents when it's over $10. So if you're doing if you're sending a friend money, you send it by email, you can send it by Facebook, text message, all those different ways. But if you send it anything less than $10, it's free to transfer the cash. And certainly this is kind of, when I was reading about Milne, they were talking about the fact that he said, instead of just kind of extending the payments systems that are out there today, he wanted to recreate from the ground up. And I think that it's very unique. I don't know if anybody's tried Dwolla or used Dwolla. It ties into your bank account. So just like PayPal does as well, but this is a very unique offering. And I love the fact that it's basically 25 cents a transaction and it's a volume play. And they're doing billions of dollars in transactions through this platform now. So if you're interested in that, they've raised $16.5 million, Series C. Andreessen Horowitz, I mean, they're in every single mobile company ever made right now. I think that they're the number one. They've got the highest number of investments in mobile and payments and loyalty. So Huge endorsement. Dwolla.com, Dwolla.com. We've talked about them many times on the show, but go check them out. They've raised $16.5 million. Nice.
Here you go.
All right, I got to tell you, Steve, I have a weakness for. I wish I had a pack. I don't have a pack right here, but I have a weakness for Sour Patch Kids. I mean, it's the sweet. Those and Swedish berries. I cannot get enough of the Sour Patch Kids. I don't know what it is. Till my tongue is raw, right? Till it's basically bleeding. And we managed to bring a story about Sour Patch Kids and working with another company that we've talked about a couple of times, which is Kiip on creating a what I think is a pretty neat rewards program that maybe you can explain a little bit more. But I love Sour Patch. I gotta go find some right now. I know get some around here.
Yeah, no, I'm right with you on that. So first of all, I mean, my kids love both the Swedish berries and the sour kids, and I mean it's crazy, right? I mean how addictive these things are, right? But anyways, to kind of set the story up around this is where this partnership between Sour Patch Kids and Kiip comes from is really the sort of the maturing of a program that we were involved with from Mondelez, which is Kraft Foods, which is the company that owns Sour Patch Kids. So we ran back in the fall, along with the Mobile Marketing Association and Mondelez, a program called Mobile Futures. And this was an open call to startups like Kiip to come and apply and say, hey, we've got an interesting emerging technology. We think this is relevant to one of the Mondelez or Kraft brands, Sour Patch Kids being one of those. And the idea was we were going to pick 10 companies and guarantee pilots with those various brands. So this is actually the fulfillment of that program now, where Sour Patch and Kiip was one of the 9 companies we actually chose. Sour Patch was the brand that was partnered up with them, and they've gone to market with this and started to test this. And so the way it works is that they're kind of playing off of the sort of the brand, if you will, and the connotation of sour and sweet, and kind of moving back and forth around that. So the idea is that when you're feeling sour, we're going to make you sweet. By giving you rewards, and so the way this works is that you're basically playing a game, in a mobile app environment, and when you get a low score or you lose the game, and you're feeling sour, they'll reward you, in some way, so that they take you from that negative feeling to a positive, sweet feeling. And and there's various types of rewards in this. So I like this. I think this is an interesting thing. Kids love games. Kids who eat Sour Patch and Swedish berries love play games. My kids play games all the time, and they love these things. So I totally see how this works, and it just makes a lot of sense.
You know what I don't understand? If you have Sour Patch Kids, you can't be down. It's just like they're little bundles of greatness and sweet and sour. Oh my God, my mouth is watering. I have some upstairs. I was about to run up and get some. Now the only thing that I don't like about this is so this is embedded in the game, and
I don't have the Sour Patch Kids, but I do.
Look
have
at
these.
that, Swedish berries. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
Desperately looking around here. I probably I have I have a little bit left. You see, here's my jar of sour.
Yeah. There you go.
That was full at one point. Yeah. But I like this. I think that the tie-in to the games, I really like that a lot. If you're losing the tie-in from turn something sour into sweet, that whole thing. But they're giving away discounts and they're giving away MP3s. And I thought, well, why in the hell wouldn't they give away their own product, right? Send me some Sour Kids, buddy, right? Or do something like that. Drive me to a mailing list or capture something. Mm-hmm. Don't send me an MP3. Like, I understand that there's a branding play here. Send me some of your product. Send me some, that's what I want.
Yeah, and they did talk to apparently in the Kiip platform. There's some new feature sets that they're starting to experiment with, and kind of on their product roadmap that kind of leverages Apple's Passbook capabilities. Good. So they are alluding to a sort of next phase of the program where they're going to push coupons, digital coupons via Passbook around their products.
Perfect.
Obviously. So
perfect.
So I think that will happen.
Yeah, that makes much more sense. And then you can see them tying it into a Max Milk or any kind of like big brand convenience store where it's only available, you can only get it from a Max Milk. So you've got Mondelez, which is craft and the product, and then you've got the games, which is being featured in, and then you've got a driving to a destination, a single destination where you can get the product. And I think that's a very powerful combination. I like Kiip about that. I've been trying to get the founder on Tether for many, 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 many weeks to talk about these kind of things, because that transition from real world or digital world into real world is a very important thing. And here's Passbook right in the middle of it again. We think it's a huge conduit to this, especially with the user base. Mm-hmm. So Sourpatch Kids working with Kiip, very cool. We'd love to hear if anybody's actually gone through that process and has turned a sour event into a sweet event. But now I just want my sour kids that are around here somewhere. All right, we're going to take a break. I'm going to actually go and get some sour kids right now. But we're going to entertain you with our guest of the week. His name is Ben Broca. Ben is the founder of a company called Now. Their app is called Now. You can get it at Get Now app. And we featured the company as a Fascination a number of weeks back as an app. And we managed to get Ben onto the show to talk about what Now is and what it isn't, and where their growth plans are. And this is part of a much longer episode of Untether.tv that will be online in a couple of weeks, but we get a sneak preview here for just you guys. We get maybe 4 or 5 minutes about Ben talking about what the Now app is and how it came to be. So without further ado, here is Ben Broca, the founder of Now. How do you describe what Now is?
So I'd like to describe Now as simply as possible and just say it's this app that shows you what's happening now around you, which is kind of a buzz sentence that a lot of people use, but it's really actually what it is, right? So on the back end of this app is a pretty complicated technology that just looks at all these Instagram photos, public photos, and vines, and all this data that is shared by people you don't know around you, and tell you a story about what's happening around you. This bar around the corner where there's 10 people who just took an Instagram in the past hour, that kind of tells you a story about, okay, this place is popping right now. And all this data is really, really interesting, and that's why we try to display in a very simple application, very user-friendly, where we kind of show you what's happening around you based on all this free public data shared by people you don't know around you.
I'm so interested by this because I've read a number of articles from Fast Company on down, and Fast Company called this a brilliant application, which I think is really great. And even online on TechCrunch, you've gotten some great kudos and call outs from Robert Scoble when you released version 2.0 earlier this year. You've got this social discovery idea. Walk me through this process, because I think that the world is full of social discovery applications right now. I just came back from San Francisco, and talking with a TechCrunch reporter, and she said, if somebody comes up and tells me that they're building another social discovery application, I probably might shoot myself right in front of them. So you've been doing this for a year. Like, this is not a new application. I want to stress that you're on version 3 of quite a unique application. But what possessed you to do this when there are a million of these of social discovery applications out there? What was missing that you feel the need?
I mean, first, the word social discovery is kind of interesting, because are you discovering people? Are you discovering places? So I'm an engineer by training, and what fascinated me at the first place wasn't really discovery, was really using this Instagram data that I saw browsing when it kind of catched on 2 years ago, at least, 1.5 years ago. And it was going to bars and seeing people taking photos. And I was like, okay, if this person is taking a photo, if I'm not at that bar, I can see that photo, I can find it somewhere. So I started digging in this Instagram API and realized that those signals, those social signals of someone taking a photo, kind of saying to all their friends, hey, this place is really cool. I could catch that information, which is as relevant as if they went on Yelp and said, oh, this is a cool bar. In general, right now it's a cool bar. I wanted to grab this information and just see it for myself and see, okay, now I know what are the bars in the area. It was really selfish at the beginning, just trying to get a sense of what's happening based on all these people doing the job for me, those webcams, right, all over the city. And I think that, yes, there are a ton of people trying to do the same thing. I think for all the same reason that you live in big cities, there's so much choice of where you could go. And so I guess it's a great idea to try to recommend places. Most people, I think, are trying to do that by showing you what your friends have done, or by showing you what like a ton of people have said about that place, right? And I think we're using kind of a different approach because yes, we could tell you your friend is here right now, and we've done it in the last version, but really we're trying to just use this crowdsourced information, like public data, like big data is the buzzword right now. So we're using big data to show you what's happening, what's cool. And we've seen that taking a photo is kind of the ultimate review. Like, you will not share a photo on Instagram if it's not something cool, because it has become this social communication. You will not share a bad photo on Instagram, I think, or at least the one that you're not proud of. So you not share a photo of a place you don't like. So really, it's like when you take a photo, you're just saying, hey, this place is cool. And so if you treat it like that, like the ultimate review, then you realize, whoa, actually I have like 10 million, 20 million reviews a day of places that I can use to create this live Yelp, this live Foursquare, like whatever other social discovery you have, which usually use like old data, we're using live data to give the answer. So
your approach to this is that if you're willing to take a photograph of something, of a location, then that's almost an endorsement by you, saying that I'm not embarrassed to be here. In fact, I'm happy to be here, and I want people to know that I'm here, and I want people to remember that I was here, and I want people to actually enjoy this with me or at some point on their own. Ben Broca, ladies and gentlemen. Fine young founder of Now. Go get that app, getnowapp.com, if that is of any interest to you. Getnowapp.com if you are interested in finding out more. There's a great little video about it, and you can get that on iOS, and I believe, no, just iOS. Just iOS. But let's support these young entrepreneurs and see if we can actually help them turn this into a good business. So Ben, appreciate you being on this show. Appreciate you being on Untether.tv, and we look forward to many great things from you guys in the near future. Getnowapp.com. All right, enough of the pleasantries. Let's get back into the show here. Our fourth story, Asif, take it away.
Yeah, so our fourth story comes from a company called MoodMedia. It's a company we haven't talked about recently, but a company certainly we know well, and they've launched a thing called Mood Presence. And this is an interesting play. This is iOS and Android, and it's a mobile app-based solution where effectively what they're doing is they're embedding inaudible audio signals that are being pumped through a retailer's existing sound system. So no hardware required from a retail perspective. A mobile app required on the consumer side, either iOS or Android, that is basically sitting there listening for a high-frequency audio signal, which then creates a call to action on a mobile device. So effectively, unique in the sense that they're using the existing in-store audio systems to push this out, but very similar in the execution to, say, what Shopkick does using ultrasound technology in their store. Obviously, Shopkick is more loyalty-based. This is not. Or even what Shazam does in terms of listening to audio signals in TV or radio or anything, quite frankly. So I like this play. I'm always a big fan of integration of media. So tying in-store audio and leveraging that platform from a retailer's perspective with mobile apps. I'm a big fan of that. So I like that they're kind of looking at it from this perspective. The idea here is to drive some kind of call to action or engagement with those consumers once you understand that they're in the building, so to speak. So that's where the presence idea comes into this. So what are your thoughts, Rob?
Well, I mean, I like this. I'm kind of taken aback. I think we overcomplicate a lot of things, right? We have to go through this kind of process in order to identify that somebody's in your store. It's kind of like, well, just look up from the cash or look up from your iPhone clerk, and you'll see that person's in the store. So, I'm interested in the follow up and what happens beyond that. This is an entryway. So, this kind of technology, interesting, as long as it doesn't require me to download another app. I mean, if this was embedded in some other app, right?
Well, it's actually you can build it into your own retailer, your existing app.
But that's a challenge, right? So, I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Is that I know that brand consolidation is happening now. The brands are bringing their apps out and back to themselves, which I believe is very important, and I believe wholeheartedly that they've got to do that. But it's not often that I'm playing around with the JCPenney app while I'm in JCPenney. You know what I mean? And it's this technology has to be brought into a popular app so that it becomes ubiquitous. I know it sounds so easy for me to say it, but this functionality has to be in Twitter's app. You know what I mean? In order for it to be very effective for that store. Or else you run the risk of putting a lot of investment into the technology and it not hitting everybody that's in the store. So I'm picky that way.
But if you're a retailer and you've got a
popular
app, a popular app, and you've got a good user base on it, adding this feature set, leveraging the existing in-store sound system to do
Very
it,
cool.
Not having additional hardware makes a lot of sense.
It does.
So I see value here, but if you don't have an app and you got to build this from scratch and build a user base to go with it,
But what's cool about this though, Asif, is that you said that this isn't really a loyalty play. I would say that if I'm in the store, even if I don't buy anything ever, right? I think that this is a huge loyalty play because if I got the app somewhere installed and we're moving into that area where it's the app isn't the destination, the app is the gateway, right? The app is the window.
Sure.
And that we've talked about this many times with apps like Moves, like Flock, like anything that resides in the background that is always on. Like our next story, we're going to talk about Google Now. When you have that technology, and if I'm a store, and as long as it doesn't kill my battery, when I launch the app, I want something to reside always on. If I'm the store, if I'm the retailer, so that when I walk into the store and it detects the music automatically, it just goes, okay, I hear that music, I get loyalty points for just walking in the store. That kind of stuff in the background like that would surprise and enchant people without being pushy. Like, don't send me a text message, don't send me an email, just automatically recognize that I was there and anonymous, and then give me my points or whatever it is.
And that makes sense. I'm fully with you there. Obviously there isn't a loyalty program connected to this offering today, but it could certainly be used in that framework.
I like that, and that's the automatic debit of the loyalty, and I think that's cool. So MoodMedia, exactly as it sounds, moodmedia.com. You can go and check that out, and I look forward to more of this. And you know what? I don't think that Shazam will take this sitting down. That's my view. Is that Shazam, with their base of install users, it's incredible what they've got. So, but MoodMedia is pretty cool. We should be talking about those guys much more. That's what I think. Moodmedia.com.
There you go.
Maybe they won't hit us. Maybe we won't get any hate mail from them. All right. Our fifth story. I am one of those guys. I'm an iPhone user, and my entire the only reason I've ever been jealous of Android is Google Now. People talk about it like it's the godsend. Even Robert Scoble is all over this. He loves this tool. He loves this technology. And so, was I ever excited when somehow it went unnoticed that they released it out into iOS, into the iPhone world, and it just became another part. If you haven't updated, if you have Google search on your device right now, on your iOS device, just update it. And inside there is what they call Google Now, but I call horseshit, right? It's terrible, man. This is not the experience that I think that everybody was promised. This is not the Android experience. And I think just like Google Maps was so different on Android for so long until this new version of iOS, this does not impress. This is a terrible piece of junk. There are so many other pieces of software that do it so much better than this. I don't know what your thoughts are, but see if this.
I don't think I can add anything to that. I think it's terrible. Kudos on Google for trying to bring it to the iOS platform. The look and feel is exactly the same or very close to what you would get on the Android platform, but the functionality and the way it works is absolutely brutal. there's a bunch of stuff that's missing in terms of the features that you would get on Android that you don't have here. They're not using Apple's notification tray to engage with that. Stuff that I would use Google Now for. For example, that I use Passbook for, like travel, like my boarding passes aren't available on the iOS version. So, yeah, I mean, I'm struggling with. Why I would, all of a sudden drop Passbook, for example, to use this,
or drop anything to use it,
or drop anything to use this. If I'm an Android guy, I'm in love with this. I mean, I think it's great, but I can't say anything more than you, Rob, on this. I think it's just a bad experience.
It's a bad implementation. It's a limited implementation. It tells you everything that you already know, and not only that, you have to launch the app to get into it. I went through the whole process. I tied it to all my accounts, and you know what it does? It tells me what my calendar, my next appointment is, or when the Yankees are playing, or when the next Ottawa Senators game, or the temperature. And you know what? What a terrible, terrible, terrible experience. And you know what? I can only look at this and think Apple must be thinking, thank God this is so bad. But I think in Google's defense, they did this with all the other applications. But that's what's so surprising. They put so much emphasis on usability, UX, for their new apps that just came out. All of them are beautiful. We talk about that all the time. Their Gmail app is beautiful. Yeah. Their Maps app is beautiful on us.
Their UX and design is phenomenal. Across the board.
But this is just non-functional, like delete material. So, man, you mean the calendar? What I use, Tempo.ai, is a billion times better than that POS that I've now uninstalled off my iPhone. So.
Well, and that's the other thing. I mean, the calendar on Google Now for iOS, it's not even it doesn't even integrate with the local calendar. It's only Google Calendar, right? So
much wrong with it. It's like it was a mistake to release it, and maybe that's why they didn't put a big fanfare on it. But all of a sudden, it was there, and I got excited about it. I was like, yes, I can't wait to get home, like a kid unboxing, and I was like, wow, total disappointment.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd like to know what you think.
All right.
You'll have to disagree with us. Reach out and let us know if you're using Google Now on iOS or if this has just completely turned you off, because it killed me. Yeah, brutal. All right. See, story number 6. We'll get off of Google Now and on to Foursquare.
On to our good friends at Foursquare.
Love these guys.
Guys, we'd love to have you on the show.
I don't think they want to ever come back on this show.
But anyways, we'd love to have you on the show. So the news this week, a leaked PowerPoint presentation deck got out on the market from a group called Valleywag. And basically it points to Foursquare starting to try and generate some revenue by selling the data that they have. We know they got great data about where those 30 million users have been, what they do there, who they've been there with, all that kind of stuff. And so it looks like sometime this month, officially, according to this deck, they're going to launch a product called Check-in Retargeting, which basically will allow an advertiser to target users outside of the Foursquare app for the first time. So the idea here is that up until now, if you use Foursquare, you can run an ad in there, you can have a special, you can have a coupon, you can find businesses or restaurants near you, all that kind of stuff you were able to do before. But now what you're going to be able to do is basically target a Foursquare user outside of the Foursquare app itself by leveraging that data. So this effectively ad retargeting. So including apparently Facebook's FBX platform. So this is, I think, from a Foursquare perspective, what they have to do to start to generate revenue. From a Foursquare user base perspective, I think this is going to cause serious problems. So at the end of the day, the 30 million people they've got on the platform, which is roughly how many users they have, how many downloads they have, the number of active users, people who actually use this thing on a weekly or daily basis, is nowhere near that number. It's numbers I've seen are somewhere around 7 million users, something like that. So first of all, there's a big drop off there in terms of active users. And now you're going to go out and tell those users that, well, wait a second, we're going to start selling all of your data We didn't, we never, we didn't tell you we were going to do that, but now we're going to do that. And I'm sure they're going to have to change their whole privacy policies and everything else. So I can only imagine what the user base is going to drop down to, once they actually start selling this stuff. And they have to do this. There's no way around it. Foursquare has to do this. This is the only way they're going to start to really make money. But the number of people that they're going to be doing this based on going forward is going to be infinitely smaller than what it is today.
Nothing to add. I mean, they've got whatever, the 5 or 6 million monthly users, and whatever drops down, you've got to be able to figure out that they can make money off of a million users. So if that's what their average monthly user base is, 1 million people, then you know what? They've got to be able to make money off of that. And I say that tongue in cheek as I was trying to figure out what Facebook just released their quarterly earnings, and I think it was, if I recall, it was like 1.7 or 1.8 billion dollars for their quarterly revenue. Does that make sense? It's like 8 billion, yeah, roughly about that. And 30% of that was mobile. And these guys have the revenue came from mobile, but these guys have 1.2 billion users, and this is the kind of revenue that you're doing. So if you just kind of bring that down, and Facebook is exactly that. Their entire revenue base is on advertising and retargeting and advertising. And if you just kind of extrapolate that, what the revenue potential is for something like Foursquare doing this, it's not very high with that small and install base. But they have to do this, Asif. There's no doubt that they have to do this, and there was no doubt that this was coming. What else are you going to do with all this data, right? And there's no doubt that they had to leverage that somewhere outside of their platform because it's not growing as fast as they want it to, but they need a way to be able to drive people to these locations. There's got to be a reason for people to pay Foursquare for advertising, and the data is it. And I think that this is logical. You can't fault them, like you said. You can't fault these guys.
Yeah. No. I mean, they are talking about a second product too, which is what they call a post-check-in ad unit. That, for me, probably has a better potential, in terms of not offending the user base. So here, what they're talking about is a contextually served ad that stays within the Foursquare app that appears right after you check in, and it's based on a normal kind of CPC type of model. So, I mean, that makes sense. And as a user of the platform, I would expect to get an ad. I mean, that's just a regular thing that you would expect in a mobile platform today. But the retargeting piece based on my data, that's where as a user I'm going to struggle. Yeah.
Well, it's a harsh reality for these guys, isn't it?
It is. It is that.
And you know what? I always think that maybe Crowley, he never wanted to do this. Like, I get that sense, right? Because they've been delayed so much in getting the revenue, and I kind of get that sense. Like Mark Zuckerberg, that they never really wanted to do it this way, but they kind of looked up and realized, well, we're either going to have to do this or we're going to sacrifice our business. And what's really interesting is that they're moving away to check-ins and into discovery, and this kind of technology is completely based on check-ins, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like I get confused about that as well. Is that did they want you to check in, or do they want to use it as a discovery mechanism? But this tells me that they want you to continue to check in, even though that their marketing department are saying we're not about check-ins anymore, we're about discovery. So lots of confusion there, and who knows where it ends up, other than maybe sold to somebody, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Foursquare is about to sell all of our data so that they can target you with ads. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Now, something a little bit lighter, shall we? It's not a resource.
Instead of our resource this week, we decided to bring something a little bit fun to talk about. So what we have here is a new product called Smart PJs.
Kids love a good bedtime story, and now they'll love it even more. Choose a story from their PJs. Capture the code, and that's it. It's simple, and it's fun for everyone. Now your child will be excited to go to bed. Smart PJs. Let's share a story together.
From a company in Idaho. I don't know what's with Idaho today. This is like the Idaho show or something. So it's not just potatoes, folks. All right. They also have smart PJs. And so what these are is, literally kids' pajamas with colorful polka dot patterns on them. And the way the patterns are assembled is they're kind of like a QR code. So there's a smartphone app that you can get along with these pajamas, and you basically scan the combination of these polka dot patterns like you would scan a QR code, and it reads a story, a bedtime story for your child, as they're wearing the pajamas and going to sleep. So kind of fun. I like it. Not sure it's this kind of, I would use this, every day as a parent, but, maybe if you're on the road and you can't carry a lot of books around with you and all that kind of stuff, it might be a fun thing. And the price point's not bad either. I mean, $25. So, available for both boys and girls, ages 1 to 8. So there you go.
God, this is always so fascinating, right? Is that it's the simple things. Right, we're the adult size version of these. I would like to be read a story, in a full size pajamas like this. But if you're interested, go to Smart PJs, exactly as it sounds, smartpjs.com, and you can order these things.
Yeah, I can just see it now, Rob. Your wife sitting there scanning, and it's like Harlequin book. It comes to life.
And then she'll look over at me in these polka dot full piece pajamas and just say, we're done. I'm out of this relationship. Done. Oh, man. Nice. SmartPJs.com. It will end your marriage, but it will satisfy your children, definitely. It looks pretty cool.
There you go.
All right, that is it. Episode number 128 in the can. We will be back for next week for episode number 129. Again, if you guys have anything to say about this, if you are a company that we have besmirched or encouraged in a good, positive way, we would love to hear from you. Reach out, Rob at untethered.tv or Sif@thelbma.com, and we will let you come on. It doesn't have to be a full interview. You can just come on and say your piece. You can also, here's another... For those of you out there who want to comment on what we've talked about, just go to untethered.tv/talk, and you can leave a voicemail for us. Forget this email, passive-aggressive stuff. Get on the phone, start screaming at us, and we will play it in its entirety. No cap. You can scream as long as you want at us on tether.tv/talk. I entice you. I implore you. Please go there and defend your company or thank us for letting us, for talking about you guys in a positive way. And if you're Foursquare, you can do the same thing. We're okay with that. Do it. Untether.tv/talk. Anything else to see, or should we close this one down?
No, I think we're good.
All right, remember, whatever podcast software you use, wherever you download this, remember, it's our currency. If you go and give us a good review, we implore you to just hit up iTunes or hit up whatever podcast software you're using, and give us a good star review. It helps us. It helps you. We'll continue to bring these stories as long as you do that. So until next week, please, you got a week to do it. We're going to be checking on you, all of you listening out there. We're going to be checking to see if you actually give us a review. We'd appreciate it. And we will be back for episode number 129 next week. Safe travels. Have a great week.
Thanks,
See you later, everybody.
Cheers.